Hi guys, welcome back with me DK in IELTS Vlog episode 3 unit 3. Still we are discussing about listening, but in this episode we're going to discuss section 2 of the IELTS listening task. Let's start, shall we? Yes, let's start with the first exercise, warming up. You've got some pictures over there, picture A until picture H. And what I want you to do is to describe each picture with the guidelines or the help with the vocabulary below, from the shape, qualities, parts, positions, and also material the thing made of. So in section 2 of the IELTS listening task, sometimes you are asked to describe or label things or an item and also map. So we will start with this episode. We will try to describe things first. Let's start from the first picture. You can use the vocabulary below. The first is spherical. Yes, because the shapes looks like a spherical football. And then second one, colored. What is the color, by the way? Usually dark brown. Yes. And the last one, what is it made of? It's made of leather. Great. So let me describe this as an example for you. So it is a spherical football. It is made of leather and the color is usually dark brown, and it has some stitches on one side of the surface. As you can see, there are some stitches on one of the surface from the football. Let's move to picture B over there. It's a baby's toy, so that can produce a sound. It's small balls, because inside it, in the transparent glass, you've got small balls, colorful small balls. And then the top of the head, yes. You should also mention the part of the body. And then the handle, it's made of plastic, of course. And you've got small hole in the end of the handle. So let me describe this. It's a baby toy. It's some small balls inside the top, transparent plastic top, and with a red handle with small hole at the end. Yes, there is no correct or incorrect answers for this, so it's based on the facts. At least you should say the vocabulary, the parts, and the description in order to be able to label in the listening later on. Let's describe picture C over there. So let's see the vocabulary first. The handle is curved handle, of course, made of wood. It's a wooden stick. Yes, and then it's long and has some stripes pattern at the edge. So let me describe this. It is a long wooden stick with some stripes on one side and curved handle on the other side. Great. As easy as pie. Let's move to picture D. So it's a little bit difficult. You know what is it? Is it a telescope? No, it's a binoculars. Many people say that's a telescope, but it has two lenses. It must be binoculars. It's made from metal, of course. Has the handle also. Has some lenses. The shape is cylindrical, the lenses. Okay, so let's try. It's a binocular made of plastics and some metals. It had two circular lenses at front and two small lenses at the rear handle. Great. Let me describe E with some vocabulary first. Balls. Yes, you've got some small plastic balls at the end. And sometimes you also have got some holes at the end. And it's sharp at the other end. Made of metal. It's long and very thin. So those are needles which are made of metals with round and holed end and sharp point on the other side. Great. Let's describe picture F. You've got cap made of aluminum sometimes, the glass, neck, the body filled with water. Shape is round. So yes, let me describe this. It's a glass bottle with a narrow neck and an aluminum cap on top and big rounded body. Let's move to picture G. I hope you're familiar with this picture. It's a box with ribbon wrapped in paper. The shape is cube. Some spotted pattern on the wrapping. So it's a box of present with square shape made of carton, wrapped in polka-dot or spotted paper and covered with red ribbon on each side. Let's move to picture H. You've got the top made of glass or plastic, connected with rubber cable, made of metal with long neck. So it is an electric lamp or electric lantern made of metal with long narrow neck and circular bottom. It is connected with a rubber cable. Okay, so I hope you find something easier for this exercise, because you're going to describe something. Sometimes it's familiar thing, but sometimes it's a little bit technical thing. Yes, we will see the technical term or the technical item after this. You should be able to describe it. Great. So far so good then. Let's move to the next exercise. Yes, in exercise 2, in the IELTS listening, sometimes you will find this kind of format diagram. Part 1, number 1 until number 5. So this is what I told you previously. It's an item that is very technical. Most of you are familiar with this, but maybe only a few of you have ever used this thing. Yes, because nobody wants to use it in case of emergency, and everybody, I don't like emergency situation. So let's start. First, it's a fire extinguisher, and we are asked to label the diagram with only one word. Remember, one word only. Let's start with the keyword or the clues. Number 1, filled with water or foam. So, something that is filled with water or foam. So, yes, the body, the big round tube maybe. And then, so we need something or a noun. Let's move to number 2. You've got the keyword long. So of course we need something or a noun. You should also find the synonym of the word long over here. Long what? Long blank. So it's between the spring and the cartridge. You should also should be able also to understand the keywords or the thing around that. You've got spring, and also you've got gas tube or gas cartridge over there, so it's in between. So whenever you listen the synonym or the word long, you should prepare to fill for number 2 when the audio is playing. And number 3, you've got a curved shape over there. So once again, because this is labeling a diagram part, so everything in the form of a noun. You need something or a noun for number 3. And then for number 4, you've got the keyword lever over there. And you've got also nozzle, gives off. So whenever you listen for the word nozzle or the synonym of gives off, you should be ready to answer number 4. Nozzle, gives off, or the synonym of water. So in between, you should write the correct answer while the audio is playing. And the last one for this part, number 5, the keyword water, lives. Number 4, we need adjective. And then number 5, water lives through this. So whenever you listen for the word water or the synonym of lives, so what comes out, for example, produces through this blank. So you need something or a noun. So number 1, we need a noun. Number 2, we need a noun. Number 3, we need a noun. Number 4, we need an adjective. And number 5, we need something or a noun. Let's listen. I will play the audio twice and we will discuss right afterward. Let's listen.
Track 10.
Every home and office should have a fire extinguisher. Although there's a good chance that it will sit on the wall for years collecting dust, it could end up saving your property or even your life. So, what does a fire extinguisher consist of? The main part of the extinguisher is simply a large metal container that is cylindrical in shape, rather like a bell jar. In the past, these used to be red, but nowadays they come in many different colours. The container is full of water or some other substance, such as foam, that can be used to smother a fire. At the top of the container is a lever, and attached to the lever there is a thin extended pin that goes down into a gas cartridge. This looks rather like a small bottle or flask, and is right in the centre of the extinguisher. Below the lever there's a curved handle, which is used to hold the extinguisher and direct it at the fire. On the other side from the handle, there is a horizontal nozzle that opens when the lever is pressed and emits a jet of water. At the neck of the container, there is a small coiled spring that holds the pin in place, and this is connected to a long tube which runs from the spring to the bottom of the container. This is called the discharge tube, which is where the water comes out of the extinguisher into the air.
Let's listen one more time, shall we?
Every home and office should have a fire extinguisher. Although there's a good chance that it will sit on the wall for years collecting dust, it could end up saving your property or even your life. So, what does a fire extinguisher consist of? The main part of the extinguisher is simply a large metal container that is cylindrical in shape, rather like a bell jar. In the past, these used to be red, but nowadays they come in many different colours. The container is full of water or some other substance, such as foam, that can be used to smother a fire. At the top of the container is a lever, and attached to the lever there is a thin extended pin that goes down into a gas cartridge. This looks rather like a small bottle or flask, and is right in the centre of the extinguisher. Below the lever there's a curved handle, which is used to hold the extinguisher and direct it at the fire. On the other side from the handle there is a horizontal nozzle that opens when the lever is pressed and emits a jet of water. At the neck of the container there is a small coiled spring that holds the pin in place, and this is connected to a long tube which runs from the spring to the bottom of the container. This is called the discharge tube, which is where the water comes out of the extinguisher into the air.
Great! Let's check for your answers then. Number 1, blank or something filled with water or foam is the big thing in the middle, the main part of the fire extinguisher. So it must be container. Yes, the container filled with water or foam. Let's move to number 2. It's a little bit tricky. It's a long blank. You've got a thin extended pin. So the synonym of the word long is extended, and it's followed by a 3 letters word, pin, P-I-N. And number 3, below the lever there is a curved handle. you've got the keyword curved over there, the shape, handle. And number 4, nozzle gives off jets of water. And number 5, water leaves tube. Yes. The exact words are discharge tube, but as the instruction says, it needs only one word answer. So just write tube only. Great. In labeling a diagram like this, you should also make sure you know where are the numbers. So number 1 until 3 is in the left side, and number 4 until number 5 is in the right side. So whenever you try to label a diagram in the form of an item like this, or a map later on, you should make sure know where is the question or the number. Okay, let's move to the next exercise in the part 2, still talking about fire extinguisher in the form of monologue. Here in the monologue, the previous part will continue here. In the previous part, we are asked to label a diagram, and here we will listen for the instruction of how to use the fire extinguisher. First, the instruction, you need to fill with 2 words answer only. 1 word is okay, 2 words is okay, but more than that, big no once again. So in case of emergency, the first, because it's in the form of instruction, you need the imperative verb remove from case and withdraw. So the keywords are remove and then withdraw. You should find the synonym of the word withdraw over there and then prepare to fill the correct answer for number 6. And number 7 and also number 8, because as I told you previously, it's in the form of instruction, so everything in the form of verb 1 or imperative verb. So before you fill for number 7, you should know the keyword of extinguisher over there. So whenever you listen for the word extinguisher or burning object, prepare to fill for number 7. So it's imperative verb or instruction. And number 8, top lever. So before you fill on number 8, you should know the keyword top lever. So whenever you listen for the word top lever, you might prepare to fill for number 8 for imperative verb or instruction. And then number 9, the keyword is gas, the word gas over there. So whenever you listen for the word of gas, you should prepare to fill in number 9. So you need a verb over there, because you've got the object, you've got the subject of top lever and connecting word which, so we need a verb. And then number 10, point nozzle. So the keyword point nozzle over there. So at, so something or place. Yeah. Great. So let's listen for the audio for number 6 until number 10. I will repeat twice and we will discuss right afterward. Let's listen together.
Track 11.
A fire extinguisher can quickly put out a small fire before it spreads. First of all, take the extinguisher out of its case and pull out the safety pin. Nothing will happen when you do this. It just unlocks the extinguisher. Holding it by the handle, point the extinguisher at the fire or whatever is burning. Then all you have to do is to press the lever at the top of the container. This pressure causes the long pin to move down into the gas cartridge. As it does this, it releases gas into the upper part of the cylinder. The gas then forces the water in the main part of the container up the discharge tube and out of the nozzle, producing a jet of water which can put out burning materials such as paper and wood.
Let's listen once more, shall we?
Track 11.
A fire extinguisher can quickly put out a small fire before it spreads. First of all, take the extinguisher out of its case and pull out the safety pin. Nothing will happen when you do this. It just unlocks the extinguisher. Holding it by the handle, point the extinguisher at the fire or whatever is burning. Then all you have to do is to press the lever at the top of the container. This pressure causes the long pin to move down into the gas cartridge. As it does this, it releases gas into the upper part of the cylinder. The gas then forces the water in the main part of the container up the discharge tube and out of the nozzle, producing a jet of water which can put out burning materials such as paper and wood.
Great. Let's check for your answers. Number 6, remove from the case and withdraw. The synonym of withdraw in the audio is the word pull out. What should be pulled out? Safety pin. Before you can use it, of course. And number 7, we need instruction or imperative verb over there. Point the extinguisher at burning object, of course. That's the function of our extinguisher. And number 8, we need also imperative verb. Press the top lever. Yes, of course you should press the top lever, and then after you press this, it will release gas. Don't forget to focus on the grammar also. You need S, releases, because the top lever is singular. Because the subject is singular, you should add S for the verb. And then number 10, point nozzle at burning materials to extinguish, such as paper and woods. Yes, that's the end of the audio, so remember that. Yes, those are the exercise for section 2 of the IELTS, number 1 until 10. Don't worry, we still have some exercises after this. Yes, in exercise 4, we will see the format of multiple choice questions. In the multiple choice, some say it's easy to get cheated, of course, but sometimes you mention that it's a little bit tricky than the other type of questions in the IELTS test. But shall we start, and we will have more practices for this multiple choice. So, make sure you know the keywords in the question, then try to find the synonym of each choice with the expression in the audio. So, find the keyword in the question, and you should find the synonym for A, B, and C, or so on in the audio, because sometimes the speaker will say different way for the same topic. Sometimes you are asked to answer a question. That's for number 1, because you've got question mark over there. And then complete a sentence, just like number 3, because it's you need to complete the sentence with the choices in A, B, or C. And the last one is choose more than one choice answer. For example, number 2 and number 3. So let's discuss the keyword first before we play the audio. For number 1, which lecture does the woman attend in the middle of the day? So the keyword is lecture and then woman. So if there is a dialogue, you should focus on the female speaker or the woman, not the man, of course. And then middle of the day. So you should find the synonym of the middle of the day. For example, in the afternoon, after lunch, at 12 p.m. So those are the expression for the synonym for the word middle of the day. And then you should find the synonym for the choices, library skills, technical design, history of architecture in the audio, and then you can choose the correct answer. As for number 2, the instruction, circle or choose 2 letters. Which 2 things should they take on the walk? If you're going to Australia or New Zealand, bushwalk means hiking. So it's similar with hiking. And then you should find the synonym for A until G in the audio. Choose only 2 words. And then as number 3, the speaker says sharks are unlikely any other fish because they... So in the audio, they will discuss about shark, a sea mammal here. So what's the difference between sharks and any other fish that live at the sea? Is it A, cannot float in water, or B, unable to swim backward, or C, catch their prey in the air? And number 4, what is Chiboy building? So the keywords are Chiboy building. So whenever you listen for the word Chiboy building, you should prepare to choose between among A, B, or C. Is it a home for a native people of New Caledonia, or a unique example of Italian architecture, or a place to learn about Kanak culture? Find the synonym also from the choices over there. And number 5 until 7, the instructions, 3 things. So you should choose 3 out of 7 choices over there. So you will use 3 and the other 4 you should eliminate the incorrect answers. Once again, you should find the synonym from A until G over there. And you should also focus on the female speaker. Great. So, let's listen for the audio. As usual, I will play the audio twice. It's a little bit longer. And then we will discuss right afterward and find the synonym for each correct answer. Let's listen, everyone.
Track 12. Question 1.
So, how did your first week of architecture go?
Not bad, but Monday is incredibly busy. I've got 3 two-hour lectures that day.
Really? What are they?
Well, we start with construction at 10 o'clock. That's really just engineering theory. Then I have an hour off to go to the library and catch up on some reading. And at 1 o'clock we have a lecture on computer-assisted drawing. And that's learning how to use computer programs to help you design buildings.
No time for lunch then?
No, exactly. And we finish the day with a lecture on history.
Whoa, that is a full day.
Question 2. You will hear a man telling a group of hikers what to take on a bushwalk.
Now, we recommend that you get yourself a small bag to carry your supplies in, but please not a heavy rucksack. The lighter the better. Make sure you wear a good pair of hiking boots with thick socks. You'll need a decent-sized plastic water bottle that can be easily refilled. Don't bring cans of soft drink, as they don't quench your thirst. And we'll be stopping for a picnic lunch, so please bring sandwiches or fruit, that sort of thing. And we recommend a wide-brimmed hat to protect you from the flies, which can be pretty irritating at this time of year. You may need suntan lotion too, and of course, don't forget your binoculars, because the view from the top of the mountain is fantastic, but you won't get the full benefit if you're just wearing sunglasses.
Question 3.
In what way are sharks different from other fish?
Well, for one thing, they have to keep moving constantly.
And that's not the case with other fish?
No. Bony fish can stay still because they have a kind of bladder which keeps them afloat, but not sharks. But basically, they're heavier than water, you see, so if they don't keep moving, they sink.
Is that so?
And another interesting thing is that they can't swim backwards, though they're not alone there, actually. And we've recently discovered that even though they're big, they can still leap into the air from really deep water to catch their prey, things like seals. But they have that in common with other large fish.
Wow, they're pretty awesome creatures, aren't they?
Question 4.
The Chibao Center is a magnificent building that symbolizes the existence of the Kanak people, the original inhabitants of the islands of New Caledonia in the Pacific Ocean. It was designed by the world-famous Italian architect Renzo Piano and was opened to the public in 1997. The center itself is based, in every detail, on the layout of a traditional Kanak village, made up of 3 sections which contain exhibition spaces, a library, as well as conference and lecture rooms. It's surrounded by beautiful gardens and is naturally ventilated with many spaces open to the elements.
Questions 5 to 7.
I've always been interested in plane spotting ever since I was a little kid growing up in Holland. I think I just like the look of them, you know? How each airline has a different tail to identify it, like a flag. I used to go to the international airport with my dad, and we tried to see every plane in an airline's fleet. They each have a serial number, though it's quite a job to see them all. And I love seeing planes from unusual places, even though I don't really want to go there myself. I also like souvenirs from planes, and I get my friends to bring me things whenever they fly anywhere. I've got tray tables and knives and forks, and I've even got a seatbelt. I take about 7,000 photos of planes a year, and I'm often down here at 5 in the morning to catch a shot of the plane's landing. You're not actually supposed to get too near the airfield. You should be 3 meters away from the fence. Quite often the patrol cars come round and tell you to move away. But I love the sound of the jet planes. The louder the better for me. I've never flown in a plane, you know. I'm actually scared stiff of flying.
Yes, scared stiff of flying. Shall we repeat once more, please?
So, how did your first week of architecture go?
Not bad, but Monday is incredibly busy. I've got 3 two-hour lectures that day.
Really? What are they?
Well, we start with construction at 10 o'clock. That's really just engineering theory. Then I have an hour off to go to the library and catch up on some reading. And at 1 o'clock we have a lecture on computer-assisted drawing. And that's learning how to use computer programs to help you design buildings.
No time for lunch then?
No, exactly. And we finish the day with a lecture on history.
Whoa, that is a full day.
Question 2. You will hear a man telling a group of hikers what to take on a bushwalk.
Now, we recommend that you get yourself a small bag to carry your supplies in, but please, not a heavy rucksack. The lighter the better. Make sure you wear a good pair of hiking boots with thick socks. You'll need a decent-sized plastic water bottle that can be easily refilled. Don't bring cans of soft drink, as they don't quench your thirst. And we'll be stopping for a picnic lunch, so please bring sandwiches or fruit, that sort of thing. And we recommend a wide-brimmed hat to protect you from the flies, which can be pretty irritating at this time of year. You may need suntan lotion too, and of course, don't forget your binoculars, because the view from the top of the mountain is fantastic, but you won't get the full benefit if you're just wearing sunglasses.
Question 3.
In what way are sharks different from other fish?
Well, for one thing, they have to keep moving constantly.
And that's not the case with other fish?
No. Bony fish can stay still because they have a kind of bladder which keeps them afloat, but not sharks. But basically, they're heavier than water, you see, so if they don't keep moving, they sink.
Is that so?
And another interesting thing is that they can't swim backwards, though they're not alone there, actually. And we've recently discovered that even though they're big, they can still leap into the air from really deep water to catch their prey, things like seals. But they have that in common with other large fish.
Wow, they're pretty awesome creatures, aren't they?
Question 4.
The Chibao Center is a magnificent building that symbolizes the existence of the Kanak people, the original inhabitants of the islands of New Caledonia in the Pacific Ocean. It was designed by the world-famous Italian architect Renzo Piano and was opened to the public in 1997. The center itself is based in every detail on the layout of a traditional Kanak village, made up of 3 sections which contain exhibition spaces, a library, as well as conference and lecture rooms. It's surrounded by beautiful gardens and is naturally ventilated with many spaces open to the elements.
Questions 5 to 7.
I've always been interested in plane spotting ever since I was a little kid growing up in Holland. I think I just like the look of them, you know? How each airline has a different tail to identify it, like a flag. I used to go to the international airport with my dad, and we try to see every plane in an airline's fleet. They each have a serial number, though it's quite a job to see them all. And I love seeing planes from unusual places, even though I don't really want to go there myself. I also like souvenirs from planes, and I get my friends to bring me things whenever they fly anywhere. I've got tray tables and knives and forks, and I've even got a seatbelt. I take about 7,000 photos of planes a year, and I'm often down here at 5 in the morning to catch a shot of the plane's landing. You're not actually supposed to get too near the airfield. You should be 3 meters away from the fence. Quite often the patrol cars come round and tell you to move away. But I love the sound of the jet planes. The louder the better for me. I've never flown in a plane, you know. I'm actually scared stiff of flying.
Well, quite a long audio, wasn't it? Let's discuss for your answers, but first we will find the keywords for each number or the synonym for each correct answer. Let's start with number 1. The synonym is technology, how to design building. So, as we know, the synonym for this course or this class is option Bravo, technical design or technology, how to use computer, how to design building. And number 2, the things to be brought on the walk. The synonyms are water bottle and sandwich and fruit. So water bottle is option B and cold food is option D. Sandwich and fruit is synonym with cold food, so everything that is ready to eat. And as for number 3, their body is heavier than water, so of course they cannot float in water. And number 4, what is Chiboy building? And the synonym for the correct choice is center, traditional Kanak, library, exhibition area. So you've got C as the correct answer, a place to learn about Kanak culture. And number 5 until number 7, which 3 things does the woman like? The synonym first, the look of it, the plane, so of course A, the appearance of the planes. And then souvenirs such as tray table, fork, knives, so collecting airline equipment. And the last one, love the sound of the jet plane, so the sound or the noise of the engines of the plane. Great! Well, in this last exercise, in the review of multiple choice question, you are going to hear a dialogue or a monologue about canoeing trip. Have you been in a canoeing trip before, by the way? So, let's start. First, let's discuss the keywords and find the synonym for each choices as usual. Let's discuss first from number 1. The keyword is canoeing, and then you should also find the synonym for A, B, C. Is it safer than people think, enjoyable for most people, or becoming more popular? And then as for number 2, the speaker says that canoes may be hard too. Maybe you should find the synonym for hard, maybe difficult in the audio, and then also the synonym for steer, balance, or get going. We will move then to number 3 until number 6. Number 3, what does the term whitewater canoeing? So the keywords are whitewater canoeing. Is it the type of river that is chosen, the effect of the pedals on the water, or the speed at which the boat travels? And number 4 until 6 with different instruction. Choose 3 things to get started. Find the synonyms for each choice here in the audio and then choose 3 out of 7 choices. And then the last one, according to Cynthia, serious canoeists take risk on purpose, prefer to teach people in the winter, or avoid rivers that are too high. So find also the synonym for these choices. Let's listen for the audio. I will only play once for this exercise. Remember, only one. Let's start.
Track 13. Paddling around on a river in a small boat is not everyone's idea of fun, and it can sometimes be a lot riskier than you think. But more and more people are getting involved in this new sport and taking their boats onto dangerous rivers to enjoy what is called whitewater canoeing. Canoes, which are narrow boats to start with and usually hold only 1 or 2 people at the most, are particularly well known for being unstable and turning over in the water. Cynthia Barton, one of Britain's top canoeists, talks about what the sport is and how to get started if you're thinking of taking it up.
Great. Let's check first for the answers for number 1 and number 2. The announcer says that canoeing is C, becoming more popular. How come? The synonym, more and more people are getting involved in the audio, is clearly heard. Let's try for number 2. The speaker says that canoes may be hard to, difficult to balance, unstable on the river. As for number 3 until number 6, let's listen for the audio. Remember, I will only play once for this number 3 until number 6. Let's listen and discuss right afterward.
A lot of people may be familiar with what I call recreational canoeing. That's where you take a canoe out onto a nice calm river with a picnic and have a relaxing time. But if you're doing whitewater canoeing, then you're doing something very different. Whitewater canoeing actually gets its name from the fact that when you do it, you've got to be paddling very rapidly through the water. And when you're doing that, you make a lot of froth and bubbles, and the water looks white. First of all, you will need to think about equipment. You'll need to get yourself a good canoe, and these can set you back anything from £500 to £1,500, depending on the material they're made of. Personally, I wouldn't go for a cheap one, although obviously this depends on your budget. And to protect yourself against rocks when you fall out of the canoe, and believe me, you will fall out, you'll need a good quality helmet. It needs to meet certain government standards, so make sure you go to a reputable supplier. And there's no point, particularly as a beginner, in wearing anything but a wetsuit. That's a must. I'd recommend one with short sleeves rather than long sleeves. Then you'll have to get a life jacket too, and I would also suggest that you get yourself a pair of river shoes. These are made out of the same material as the wetsuit. Some people think that ordinary rubber boots will do, but they're much too loose and fill up with water. It is also essential to wear something to protect your hands from the paddles, and stop them from being rubbed.
Great, let's check for number 3. Where does the term water canoeing come from? It's the effects of the paddles on the water, paddling very rapidly and the water looks white, says Cynthia. And then as number 4 until number 6, the correct answers are protective headgear or helmet, short sleeve wetsuit, and then number G, gloves or something to protect your hands. Great. Now let's listen for number 7 audio. According to Cynthia, one more time, the keywords are serious canoeists. Whenever you listen for this, you should be prepared to answer the correct choice. Find the synonym. Let's listen.
Track 15.
The popular rivers are in fact graded from 1 to 6 in the same way that ski runs are graded, to tell people just how flat or steep they are. Once you're an expert, which can take some time, you can of course try anything. And really serious canoeists who want a real challenge go out a lot more in the winter when the water level is high and deliberately look for the most dangerous rivers. Whatever you say about this sport, it is never dull. Generally, it's a fantastic sport for them.
Great. So, the correct answer is choice A. Take risks on purpose. How come? What's the synonym? Deliberately look for dangerous river. Great. So that's a wrap for this episode. Well everyone, that's all for Tika Science Vlog in this episode 3 on section 2 of the IELTS listening task. We will see you when we will see you. Bye everyone, have a nice day.